talking about something that many people find it unsexy. So let's see if we can change their minds today.
And I want a good show, damn it. Ready for a good show?
Doing awesome, yeah. I'm excited to talk to you, Angie. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I've always been doing big into archery, and my dad said, "Hey, you guys want to start an archery store?"
Yes, that's how it works.
Andy, yes, of course, let's do this together.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the E-Comm Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the E-Comm Show. As usual, I am your host, Andrew Maff, and today I am joined by Bahadir, who is the CEO over at Fabrikator for me when I'm going to butcher it. But can you pronounce it correctly for me? I know there's two ways to look at this.
European way, German way is Fabrikatör.
Fabrikator.
Yeah, you can call it Fabricator with K.
Fabrikator with a K. It's like couture. Easy. I got you. So excited to have you on the show. I know we talked about it a little bit right before we even kind of got started here, that inventory management operations, not exactly my strongest point. I'm the marketing guy. So when it comes to like operations, I'm always like, I'm going to leave it to the professionals, which is why I love having people like you on the show, because you can be the professional. But obviously, as usual, I really appreciate you having the show and kind of helping me walk through all this stuff. I always like to start it off the usual way and just kind of give you the floor, let everyone give everyone some insight about your background, Fabrikatör, and we will take it from there.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you for having me. Talking about something that many people find it unsexy. So let's see if we can change their minds today.
We'll make it sexy.
We've been doing this for the last 6 years. We started on the manufacturing side, so we know the other side of the supply chain quite well. We did the inventory planning, raw materials planning for the manufacturers. And in the past 5 years, we've been doing it for the e-commerce businesses, more specifically D2C brands on Shopify, focusing on procurement of finished goods. So briefly, Fabrikatör is a cutting-edge inventory planning software helping you with the demand forecasting and purchasing decisions tailored for growing e-commerce brands. And unlike traditional ERP systems or manual spreadsheets, I know many of the brands are using, Fabrikatör combines the ease of use with the powerful insights, like uncovering what's hidden in your inventory data, both in terms of risks and opportunities, helping brands to accurately forecast demand, avoid the stockouts, and also optimize the purchasing decisions. So this is the planning side, but we also have some secret weapon in our stash, which is backorder automation. And I'm very excited to deep dive into this today because that's a great cash flow saver combined with a good planning, inventory planning. So if you're scaling and you need a data-driven approach to inventory, I think this episode is going to be interesting for you.
Yeah, actually, that was perfect because that's the part I'm super excited to dive into. The concept of back orders I love because, sometimes it happens. You run an inventory, you've got options. And the issue from my end, from a marketing side of things, is like if someone runs out of inventory, we don't have the capability of doing back orders or anything like that. Like we just have to stop. So it's like, it's always a big hiccup. And during this time of year, obviously, as of this recording, we're a little bit before Black Friday, Cyber Monday. But once this comes out, we're gonna be in the thick of it. So I know that's obviously a big time when people run out of inventory and things like that as well. So tell me a little bit about the back order side. How does that work, and what's that process? How does it kind of get involved in the inventory?
Of course, yeah. First of all, back orders are more powerful if you already have a solid planning and forecasting in place. We position back orders as the plan B, because it should not be the regular business operation. It can cause problems if you heavily rely on it, but it's a great companion to good inventory forecasting and planning. And here's why. While we do our best, and I don't know if the merchants, brands out there are doing their best to forecast with the highest accuracy, supply chain is always volatile. It's not always something that you can predict with a high accuracy. A ship will be stuck in a Suez Canal. Now there's like conflicts in the routes of the logistics as well. So it's always affecting it. And you have to keep an eye on what's happening in the world to make sure your estimated delivery dates are correct. And it's not always the case. It's mostly not the case. So in this kind of situations, when that ship is stuck, your inventory is not in your warehouse on time, you need a plan B. And that plan B is back orders, which helps both marketers and also the inventory people. Marketers love back orders because they don't have to stop ad campaigns when you run out of stock. As far as I'm not a marketer, so like as far as you're far to inventory, I am quite far to marketing side of it. But what I know, marketers hate stopping campaigns because the platforms are punishing, algorithms are punishing you when you restart the campaign, start and pause all the time. So we don't want that. And on the other hand, like there's another widely used solution, which is back in stock alerts. I know of many people using Klaviyo's Notify Me Back in Stock solution, which is great for long-term stock outs. But if the back in stock time is going to be not more than a couple of weeks, why not collect people's revenue, like money, instead of collecting their emails? Turn that into something helpful for your cash flow. And I've seen the consumers appreciating this as well, because on the psychological side, shopping is usually a chore that you want to get done with it. When you find a product that you love, you're ready to pull out your credit card, pay for it, and then you find out that it's out of stock, your willingness to buy just starts to diminish slowly. And by the time you receive that back in stock email in 2 weeks, you already lost that appetite. It's much more difficult to take you back on the website and buy it. But if I can get done with that chore, just paying for it right now, knowing that it will be delivered in a couple of weeks, not too long, I can get done with it. And I benefited from this as a consumer, and the brand benefits it in terms of cash flow, capturing the demand at the right time.
Yeah.
That's why I love back orders. That's why I've seen them doing a great job recovering lost sales revenue, combined with back in stock alerts as well for long-term periods. But yeah, it's just a tool that every brand should have in their belts. However, I also know many brands are burned by backorder processes that were not very well managed, and they're traumatized. I don't know if you have any stories about the pre-orders or back orders going wrong.
Well, I was going to add, that was the other thing actually I was going to ask you about, is like, how does that work from a pre-order perspective? Is it relatively similar?
So terminology-wise, maybe I need to make that distinction. So pre-order is when you haven't launched that product. So it's a new product and you're just introducing to the market. People are ready to buy it, like placing a pre-order for an iPhone or a Kickstarter campaign. At the same time, backorder is for bridging the gap between like temporarily out of stocks. So you know that inventory is coming. It's committed by the supplier, or it's already in transit, and you sell something that's already in transit. That's backorder. I see that like two terms are being mixed up mostly. It's fine, but that's the difference from our point of view. And in order to initiate a back order, you should have a purchase order in place with the line items, how many units are incoming, when they're incoming. So you can actually pass this certainty to your customers as well. If I go on to a web PDP and I see that saying like pre-order without any estimated shipment date, I lose trust. Like I lose my trust into that business. I'm not going to place an order without knowing when it is going to be shipped. But what we do, since we already know the purchase order data, we pull that estimated arrival date and the quantity. We change the Shopify page, product detail page, automatically to pre-order page, because we don't use the back order term for the consumers, because that's they're not familiar with that. We just call it pre-order. We position it in a way that they understand. But what we do most importantly is showing the estimated shipment date. This could be the actual date of the PO going to arrive in your warehouse, or it could be with a buffer because your warehouse needs some time to unpack stuff and make it ready to ship. So you're in control of what to show on that page. Sorry. And then we keep that information at every single step of the buying journey, in the shopping cart, order confirmation emails, checkout pages. We just keep customers always informed, because if you're selling something amazing, your customers are super excited. They just like click buy without noticing it's a pre-order. And then there's a customer support ticket. Hey, where's my order? It's been like 10 days. I want to cancel. I want a refund. So by over communicating that information about the delivery date and that it's being a pre-order, we minimize this to a very large extent. And then you also don't want to oversell. That's another point that I heard. Like if there's 100 units incoming, you don't want to sell 105 and cancel the remaining 5 because they will be angry, leaving you a bad review. You need to issue a refund. Maybe you lose a customer that is going to be a repeating customer in the future. So what we do, we limit the number of units to be sold based on what's incoming. So we close the full cycle. Like we take the purchase order data and turn it into actually sales opportunity in full sync with your Shopify. Also integrated with Klaviyo, because what happens if that ship is stuck and if your estimated delivery date is still wrong, it's additional 10 days. And there are people who paid for it. You got to inform them, because if you don't, then the same story, like refunds, cancellations, and everything going into play, you need to tell them. And that's the part where most brands are hesitant about. This is what keeps them away from taking a back order. Like if I sold 100 back orders, and if the shipment is delayed, I need to go and find every single customer record, order record in Shopify and email them one by one. Either they get lazy, they don't do that, or they do it and take so much time they regret that they took back orders.
Yeah. And from a consumer perspective, like your argument of taking a back order, obviously from the seller side, very beneficial because you're bringing in revenue. But from a consumer perspective, it's a very interesting argument of like, I could probably think of like a couple different types of products where like, yeah, I don't mind waiting, and I don't need to order it right now kind of thing. Maybe it's not a chore that I need to do, kind of as you put it. But then I have to factor in, now you're relying on that person still feeling like buying your product however long later. B, they actually open your email and or your SMS. So now you have to factor in your open rate. So if you say, I've got a great open rate of, let's say like 60%, and you have 100 people that signed up to get alerted for when this new product comes out, you're now down to 60 orders on a good day as opposed to anything else. So it's a very interesting argument of even having it as an option if it's not going to be like, an extremely extended period of time. So in terms of the integration between Fabrikatör and Shopify, is that kind of how that data is feeding in of like, hey, you can take the inventory in, you can take the revenue in, here's when the inventory can be expected. Like, how does that kind of integration work?
So we have a Shopify application in the App Store if you search for Fabrikatör. And the moment you install it, we start fetching your historical sales data, which we use it for forecasting. And then for back orders, the synchronization is also done through our app block that you add to your Shopify theme with a drag and drop, very easy way. So that's how we manage the product detail page. And we manage the setting on Shopify. People know this button, like continue selling when out of stock. If you are using that setting, we start managing that policy. So if you have available inventory incoming, we keep selling when out of stock. Whenever you oversell or whenever the products are delivered, we turn it off and we switch to a normal selling mode automatically. And we do this for hundreds and thousands of products at every single minute. So the integration is quite seamless, and we get whatever we need from Shopify without additional data. The only thing that you need to put in is your purchase orders and the ETAs. So we use that for communicating with customers.
How did you come up with this? Like what was your background that kind of got you into like, okay, here's a clear hole in this market?
Yeah, so actually it came from a customer. I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah, back in 22, right before Black Friday, we were about to have dinner at my place with my co-founder. My girlfriend was calling from inside, like, "Hey guys, dinner is ready." And we were just like, "Hold on, we're trying something new," because a customer asked for a feature where we can actually limit the number of pre-orders that they can take, because it was right before Black Friday. They noticed the order is going to be late.
Oh, yeah.
"Hey guys, can you do something quick?" And my co-founder was hesitant. "This is not our job. We are doing inventory forecasting and we shouldn't touch the storefront." And I was like, why not? Because if this is what they need, if we complete the full circle, then we stop being a back office tool. We do something different. We are an inventory planning app that is not only playing for higher efficiency, but also increasing the revenue. So that just started with a simple code and hacking for a customer. And then not so long after, we turned it into a core product feature of supporting brands in more than 40 countries battling with out of stocks.
Wow. So the idea from the back ordering side stemmed from a last minute customer request that you guys were like, screw it, we're doing it. Like, let's get it done. That's awesome. That's not a lot of platforms will do that. So I definitely commend you for doing that. What's the thought on everything else, right? So obviously the back ordering side is a very big differentiator, but obviously the other side of things of inventory planning, managing cash flow, things like that. Like how is that differentiated from the other inventory platforms that are out there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, cash flow is the lifeblood of any business, especially in retail and e-commerce, where inventory plays a central role, and it's the most. I think if you don't own the real estate of your business, I think the most static asset that you have is the inventory, and you have to be careful with that because too much inventory can kill your business, especially if you're in a seasonal. If you're in a seasonal business, what you cannot sell this year may not be sold next year at all. So that's super important. One thing I would like to start with, I think I talk around like 10 to 15 brands every week coming inbound to learn more about our solution, and we go into deep topics. And one thing that I notice, especially if they are like pre-10 million, they always want to jump into inventory planning. Let's talk about purchase orders. Let's talk about how much we need to buy. And I was like, wait, there's a step before that. It's demand forecasting. Supply forecasting comes after the demand forecasting. And then I always use the analogy of an inventory planning cake, which has the layers of the cake, and the base is the inventory data that you need to have. So you should have the data coming from your warehouse. You should have SKUs in place, barcodes, available inventory data should be accurate. And then order data comes on top. But if you're using a platform like Shopify, you don't need to worry about the order data. That's already standardized. And on top of that, you should start doing the demand forecasting. What I mean by demand forecasting is doing a top level planning where you think about your targets, how much I'm going to sell this year, what's my goal, and then walk it backwards to each month, and then down to each product category and down to each SKU. So this should be done in an unconstrained way. I think many people miss out the unconstrained here because they always think about cash flow. They always think about the lead time, supplier requirements like the minimum order quantities, batch sizes, and they limit their potential the moment they start thinking about this when they're doing demand forecasting. So set your imagination free, run your ambition, leading your demand forecasting, demand planning, and put that number in. In the next step, we will talk about supply forecasting, which is constrained. We will talk about all the boring things that will be holding you down, selling millions of units a year. So we help our customers with the demand forecasting by utilizing different tools. You can use your last year's sales data and say, I'm going to grow 100% this year, reflect the same seasonality effect from last year to this year, and I want to see what my revenue is going to be like. So they can create multiple scenarios and see how it plays out in terms of COGS, in terms of revenue. If it makes sense, then they go deeper into it and edit the forecast. One thing that I highly believe, now we are in the age of AI. Every single day a new AI tool is popping up. Mm-hmm. AI is not the ultimate solution for this. It's a tool. And we are positioning it as a tool where the AI should not dictate what you should buy. It should be a guideline. So we provide our forecasting as a baseline. And then we ask our customers, now it's time to bring in your marketers. Ask them if this plan is viable, because mostly inventory people and marketers have a very loose connection in the companies. They only go into these discussions when something goes wrong, like when inventory is out earlier than it was planned, or when there's an overstock situation, blaming the marketing that they couldn't sell. So we bring them to the same table at the very first day when they're planning the whole year. And we ask the marketing teams, what is your estimation? Do you think we can double down on these numbers for April? Or because there is Valentine's Day, can we change something for February? So all of these things are being done at the demand forecasting. So we also help facilitate the communication between teams. And then we move on to the supply planning side with the buyers and the inventory planners. We ask them, look, we need to procure $1 million worth of inventory for the next year. How do you want to procure that? You can buy it every single month with 12 purchase orders, or you can do it quarterly, which is going to be more expensive, a heavier burden on your cash flow. Depending on that, the system generates a schedule, what to buy, when, and how much it's going to cost. So they can also play around with this scenario, see what fits them the best, and they commit to a plan. Then they start placing these purchase orders with the rhythm that they want to play it.
So is that kind of like what you guys are in the thick of right now, of mapping out, here's how 2025 is going to look for all the brands that you guys are working with right now? Exactly.
Some brands are still in the process of planning Q1. Not everyone is planning the whole year, which is a good approach. I mean, it's unpredictable. Yeah, exactly. So having a general idea of setting targets for the 25 is great. But there's no need to plan the purchase order for December, next year, December, if your supplier doesn't have 12 months of a lead time. Hopefully not.
Yeah. That makes a ton of sense. Bahadir, really appreciate having you on the show. This was incredibly informative, very cool. I'm already thinking of several brands actually that I need to get set up with back orders. So this was awesome. Really appreciate having you on the show. I'd love to give you the opportunity to let everyone know where they can find out more about you, and of course more about Fabrikatör. Fabricator with a K.
With that name, I think it will be a little tricky to find us, but if you do, I'm pretty sure it will be worth it. Search my name on LinkedIn, Bahadir Efeoglu. I'm quite active there. I'll be happy to jump on a call or just guide you in the right direction. Or you can also find our website, fabrikatör.io, or on Shopify App Store. One thing to mention, we are beyond Shopify. So if you're selling on Amazon, if you're using an ERP like NetSuite, we are also integrated with all of these platforms to support brands at a larger scale. Don't be shy. Just reach out and I'll be happy to help.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being on the show. Obviously, everyone who tuned in, thank you as well. Please make sure you do the usual thing, rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff on whichever podcast platform you prefer, or head over to the ecommshow.com to check out all of our previous episodes. But as usual, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you all next time. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to the E-Comm Show. Head over to ecommshow.com to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on the BlueTuskr YouTube channel. The E-Comm Show is brought to you by BlueTuskr, a full-service digital marketing company specifically for e-commerce sellers looking to accelerate their growth. Go to BlueTuskr.com now for more information. Make sure to tune in next week for another amazing episode of The E-Comm Show.